to Jake Jackets. Gear up to fire the cannon and hit the ice with your host, Jay Ashdown and Jake Gehringer.
Good. Glad you guys were able to do that with like actual, regularity.
Yeah, me too, for sure. There's a lot of convenience. We actually planned our trip in May to England. We bought tickets. Yeah. So we're going in early May, and while I'm there, I'll get to see Crystal Palace play.
There you go.
United will be a fun time. So great.
There you go. We have some grievances to talk about for this episode,
We'll
don't we?
We'll use that word. Yeah.
The Festivus for the rest of us came early this year for fifth liners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Rough. And I mean, so we're gonna talk about the viral tweet that you put out on our Twitter. Like
generous to call it viral.
That thing caught more fire than anything we've tweeted out ever, dude.
Fair, I suppose. I haven't even bothered to look at it in the last 24 hours. I've been really busy.
I mean, like, views is one thing when it just comes across your timeline, I guess. But to have over 4,000 of those.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't even...
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes from a place of frustration, for sure. I think you know better than me, like...
Genuineness.
Yeah, like, I've said it a million times on this, and you know how I am. I'm not going to lie to people about things. I think that there is...
Are you going to say the thing that you told me?
What? I've said a lot of things.
You're not gonna
Oh,
piss on
yeah.
someone's shoes?
I can't believe you've never heard that
No!
phrase before. I've heard it from a lot of people. Now, granted, I did change one of the words. I think it's supposed to be, don't tinkle on my toes and tell me it's raining. I said, don't piss on my toes and tell me it's raining. Like, whatever, however you want to say it, it doesn't matter to me. I think everybody knows kind of what I'm getting at. Like,
yes,
we can come on here and point out some positives. Not every single little thing is a negative with this team right now.
And no, we're going to talk positives. We're going to talk, we're going to go bit by bit on this, and we're going to talk about the fun that I had.
Yeah, and we'll include that because that's big. That's important. I'm glad you had a good time, even though they didn't bring a win, which has been a frequent showing lately. Look, there's some small positives we'll get into. Dmitry Voronkov looks awesome. Adam Fantilli is very fun. There's other things we can get to, but I just don't feel that level of energy when it comes to trying to come up with positives when we all know what we're watching. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean. In that same vein, though, let's try to hand out some cappies brought to you by our buddies at DraftKings. Bet the action on the ice with DraftKings Sportsbook. Looking at the odds for upcoming games. This is going to go up on Sunday night, so a lot of these are already going to be in progress. Starting off with 8 a.m. Eastern Time, Leafs and Wild.
Yeah.
The Global Series. Leafs are the favor at a -148 because the Wild have had a very strange year, as we've outlined in the past couple of episodes.
Right.
We are in Philadelphia, which, knowing how that went the first time around, probably going to be the same result. Columbus is a +124 and Philly is a -148.
Yeah, so if you want me to give you a pick, I'm going to take the Wild for that game because the Leafs are coming back from their trip over. I think they're in Sweden, correct?
That would be the last game in Sweden.
Oh, so it is their last game in Sweden. Okay.
That's why it's at 8 a.m. Eastern.
I didn't even see that. For some reason, I thought that they were playing at Minnesota. Okay, so yeah, it says everything I need to know. I had no clue that Minnesota was there. I knew Detroit was there and whatnot, but
the Senators and our buddy Matt are there.
Yeah, I did see that. That's really cool. Good for him. Yeah, I'm gonna take Minnesota because this feels exactly like the kind of game that the Leafs would lose.
I mean, yeah, especially with the way
Struggling team,
with the way
struggling
mini
goalies.
season's going.
It feels like the kind of game that whether it's Marc-Andre Fleury or Philip Gustafsson, who are both really struggling, they could go out and give you like 35 saves and like 36 shots. And
Mm.
the Leafs are like, man, what the hell? We can't score on guys who aren't having good
And the
seasons.
only goal going to be scored is probably Willie.
Willie, yeah, he's gonna keep that streak going. Yeah.
Speaking of Flower, we have two of Flower's former teams going at it, Vegas and Pittsburgh. Vegas, even though they've had a rough patch, they are the kind of obvious favorite here at a -120, while Pittsburgh's a plus hundo.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's been coming on lately. They needed it. Even when they were struggling earlier this season, I think there was a lot of indications that the ship was going to be righted because they were outplaying teams. So it is an interesting matchup. I probably would just go with Vegas. I think they're the better team.
Sabres Hawks, that's a -180 for Buffalo, even with their injury issues, and a +150 for Bedard and his band of merry men.
Yeah, Buffalo outplayed the Jets crazy last night despite not having Tage Thompson. I think it was like 3.3 expected goals for the Sabres for 2-2 to the Jets. They still lost 3-2, but they outplayed them. I expected that would continue against the Blackhawks.
And the final game that is listed for this Sunday, bunch of fun, the Blues and the Ducks. The Ducks are actually favored here because they've actually had a fun time this year, unlike last year.
Yeah. What's that like?
I couldn't tell you. They're at a -120. So
Yeah,
similar
with the
odds to Vegas Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'll go with the Ducks. They're fun.
So we'll see how this goes. And all y'all got to do is download the app now and use code THPN. New customers can get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on hockey. That's code THPN only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. The crown is yours. And deep breath in. Here we go. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gambling resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2003, all rights reserved. Fun stuff, fun reads, fun Kepis coming your way. I want you to go first because it's always kind of funny to me whenever you are just like so downtrodden and you're like, do I have to?
Yeah, I'm not going to give you the old do I have to today, mainly because you just mentioned it. Was I going to prior to that? Probably. Let me, God.
Do I really have to give it to
all
somebody?
these losses to come up with a positive here?
I mean, again, we said that there are positives here.
God, it's just so depressing looking at all these. I'll go with David Severson. He scored 2 goals against the Coyotes. He was awful against the Penguins, and he bounced back with a really, really good game. So credit for that. Like that seems to be the Demon Severson career arc. We saw it so many times with the Devils. Yeah. This is a player we talked about in the offseason. I do like this player, but we are fully aware that this player, when he's not playing well, it is bad. But when he's playing well, he's incredibly effective. And I think we've gotten that like up and down all season where he comes out, he has a really, really, really bad game. People get on him, and then the next game he plays pretty well. And for some reason, people don't acknowledge it. But you'll get an acknowledgement from me. He played well last game.
I will say with Damo that, having been to the game against Pittsburgh in person,
Mm,
I got the prime Damon experience where it's like he played a good game.
he did not.
He had very solid moments,
I
but then
disagree.
but
I
then when
disagree.
when when he makes those mistakes though, this is my point.
Yeah,
When he makes those mistakes, they're big mistakes.
they're big mistakes. Yeah. Any Devils fan could tell you that, and I knew that heading in, but I mean, from watching it from my end, he did not look good, and
Provy and Z had
the
good
numbers, the numbers also indicated that, but I think he's had more good moments than bad this season,
games.
and this seemed to be a theme in New Jersey. Like his moments are so bad when they're bad.
Yeah.
He gets a lot more flack for those bad moments. Doesn't seem to get a lot of credit for the good ones.
Right. And obviously, good on you for picking up, actually giving him credit for good ones for a change.
Well, yeah, this is a player I vouch for. I like this player.
Right. I thought the signing was awesome.
Yeah, I think he helps the defense.
They'll actually play him in a role that he's better suited for.
That's the hope. I mean, I think he's actually been pretty good when he's been paired with Zach Werenski. The numbers indicate that as well. That's been our best defensive pair this season. But still, the defensive structure, the defensive system's just not effective. It's just not working right now.
Yeah, and I mean he's had good and bad with Provy as well.
Yeah, Provy's the same deal. Provy's a similar player. He's not as good of a puck mover. He's more of a big physical kind of defenseman. But Provorov's the same situation where, when he's bad, he's really bad.
Definitely having to pull out some of this for some of that. So Damo gets yours. I am actually basing mine off of a singular play.
Sure.
Jake Bean.
Okay.
Dude, watching his big block on that Sid chance in the third period.
Yeah.
Just live, getting to see that with my own two eyes. Oh.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, we know Jake Bean's a young player and he's injury prone and he has all these issues, defensive deficiencies that a young defenseman has.
Yeah, especially when he's supposed to be an offensive-minded defenseman like he is.
Yes. But when there's moments like that, you just have to marvel at it, especially if you're there to see it.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good play.
Brilliant block. Obviously,
fortunately, Sid
got the last laugh because he's Sidney Crosby and he's a Jackets killer. But that's our Keppies. Damon Severson, Jake Bean, couple of fun defenseman performances.
Yeah.
Over the last little bit because they deserve some credit for that. So Jay's tweet, as we're going through this 7-game skid now, and we're recording this on the night that we're playing in Washington. We'll see how that goes. And you know what?
Or we will.
Before we actually get into that, I do want to give a special shout out. Not exactly a Kepi, even though I probably should have actually given this a Kepi. The captain.
Yeah.
Boone Jenner passing Rick Nash for the games played mark in a Blue Jackets sweater with his 675th game tonight in Washington.
Yeah. Yeah. Been a Blue Jacket his entire life. He's captain for a reason.
Embodies
he's given us a
identity.
lot of embodies the identity. He's given us a lot of big moments. Good for him.
Good milestone. And you're so checked. I could tell you're so checked.
I'm just now. I'm so disconnected from anything remotely positive right now. Good for him. I don't dislike the player. I like the player. But
love the guy to death, right?
I'm rightfully angry, I would say. For
the majority of reasons that you should be. And we'll talk about a couple of those here in a second. So addressing your tweet verbatim.
Yeah.
Right. which, by the way, this was tweeted on the 16th of November. So we're recording this on the 18th. So this was just a couple of days ago. Currently has 4,000 views. So that's just people seeing it on their timeline.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. We've
It's
never had that kind of reach yet till then. 6 reposts, a quote tweet, and 40 likes.
Yeah.
So it reads, does firing your GM and president directly change the results on the ice? No, but it does send a message I think the fans could really use right now. We care, and that's what's happening, and what's happening is unacceptable.
Yeah.
Which it is. Like, you made a good point that obviously a skid like this is totally unacceptable with the way that this roster is constructed.
It shouldn't be as bad as it is.
No.
Yeah.
We're gonna go through some of the replies here.
Yes. Some of them are funny. My one buddy Lucas responded to it.
I was gonna say, do you want me to actually call out these people too? Like, should I?
Yeah, some of them. I like the responses. I like the feedback, even
It's
if people
good to have,
disagree.
yeah.
It's good to have different perspectives on it.
Feedback for us too, like seeing how we just talk and we have our opinions.
So let me go through some of them. Okay, so
Gopnik Hockey Life.
Yeah, it also prevents Jarmo from scaring off any restricted free agents that need new contracts this year. I thought that was funny.
I mean,
I didn't think it was like a super serious point. I thought it was funny, so I laughed at it. Does that have any impact on that? I'm probably not sure about that, but
I mean, so because like who's up this year? It's Silly, it's KJ.
Chinikov, I would imagine, is an RFA.
I think Chinny might be.
Yeah.
I don't have cap friendly or anything up.
Marchenko's probably an RFA.
Let me actually.
I want to say his deal was a 2-year deal when he came in, so he might be an RFA.
Let me actually take a look. Give me a second, and you go through another couple.
Friendly.
Go through another couple replies while I'm digging for this.
Yeah. So Diana, who follows us, brought in. She said those are off-season moves. Doing in-season screams instability. It's a fair point.
It's fair. It's very
point.
fair. Especially like cleaning out your front office.
The whole entire front office. And I totally understand that point, and I do not disagree with it at all. I think part of the reason I say it is because it almost, I've always been under the belief that continuity for the sake of continuity is just as bad as instability.
Right.
The Blue Jackets have had a lot of stability. It hasn't given us the results that we need. So even though having stability largely is a good thing, I would argue, because you've had the stability that you've had, making a move, whether it be in season, off season, shaking things up, if you really believe in the foundation you've been trying to build, it shouldn't matter. And if you believe that it does matter, then you really have an issue on your hands, because now suddenly you're waiting until the offseason to do this. That's time you're giving your GM and your president to do stuff when you don't exactly trust them. And the reason you're concerned is because clearly there is an instability within the franchise. You don't feel comfortable moving off of them. That's a big problem.
Question for you.
Yes.
They've been here, both of them, save for, the 1 year that JD was in New York.
Right. Since 2013.
Yes, John Davidson, Jarmo Kekalainen have been here a decade now.
Yeah, that's a long time. Especially in this sport, in this business.
Yes, remember, guys, that's how long John Cooper's just been behind Tampa's bench.
Yeah, longest tenure coach in the league. Long time.
Results notwithstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that they've done a good job in terms of acquisitions?
Yeah, I would say so. I don't think that's ever really been my issue with them, to be honest with you. And I think There's a reason Yarmo's been here as long as he's been here. I think he wins more trades than he loses.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has made some smart free agent acquisitions. I don't think that the majority of his term has been bad. I think you just get to a point where it's time.
Right.
You've been here long enough. You've worked your magic in some circumstances. He's the best general manager the Blue Jackets have ever had. There's no doubt about that as far as legacy is concerned. He brought us our first playoff wins. He brought us our first playoff series win. He took us to the playoffs 4 straight years.
Big free agents.
Okay. We can respect that. That's big for a franchise like the Blue Jackets. It's a very different franchise from all the others. It hasn't been around for a super long time. I know 20 plus years isn't a short time, but it's
right. But smaller market in terms of operation.
Yada yada yada. I just think they need a new vision more than anything.
Because it's early and it's also not. Does that make sense?
Repeat that.
Because it's early and it's also not.
Yeah.
Like we're at a weird point in the season where it's like, it's still, to me, it still feels irrational. Like cleaning out the front office like this feels like a nuclear option.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm not necessarily saying that's the route they need to go.
Right.
I'm just saying I don't want to rule that out.
Right. Going back really quick to the RFAs thing. So they have nobody this offseason. Everybody still has term into next season.
Even Kent Johnson?
So I'm looking at it right now. Texier, ARB eligible in 24-25. Marchenko also ARB eligible. Sillinger and Yegor are
that would be the off season, wouldn't it be?
24-25.
Because this is the 23-24 season, so 24-25 off season would be right.
Yes. Gosh, I'm gonna pull out your favorite saying ever. Time is a flat circle. It's weird.
It is. Yeah, it is. Weird.
So yes, and then looking at the rest of that, Dimitri is RFA in 25-26. So is Fixie. Fixie is ARB eligible, and then Fantilli, his RFA year is not until 26-27.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know why. Oh, it's because KJ's on non-roster. That's why I wasn't seeing him here.
Gotcha.
Okay. The other RFAs, we've got 24-25 ARB eligible. That's Jake.
Yep, that makes sense. I wouldn't be totally surprised based on everything if he's just an RFA. If he either gets traded at the deadline for scraps or if he's just non-tendered.
I don't know why.
I'm barring something special from the last 60 games of the season from him.
Yeah.
I think we kind of know this experiment's over. And I wouldn't mind it being over sooner rather than later, just to pave the way for maybe other defensemen that you want to see something from.
Right. And I mean, Boakfist is in there too.
I think Boakfist experiment's over too.
Because they have had very strangely similar trajectories since being here.
I think Boakfist is better, but two offensive-minded defensemen who are clearly talented have their issues defensively, but primarily, more than anything, what's really handcuffed them is health.
Everybody else that is non-roster here. So
I'd imagine Trafix Polanski is probably an RFA.
Oh my gosh, I'm actually gonna move my computer closer just so I can see a little bit better. So KJ has that 10.2C clause.
I don't even know what that is.
Player has not accrued the necessary amount of professional seasons required for Group 2 RFA status. Ineligible for an offer sheet.
He is an RFA, but he just can't get the offer sheet. That's okay.
So yeah, so he'll be our property for that'll be fine. This is, oh my gosh, I'm actually gonna take off the CJ disguise for a second just to read the rest of this. Bemmer is an RFA with arb rights as well. In 24-25.
That experiment is over.
Cam Butler, Josh Dunn, and Carson.
Yep.
They're all RFAs as well. Josh Dunn and Carson are eligible as well. And the defense, that would be Blanks is ARB eligible in 24-25.
Yep. He will definitely be.
He's going to get paid.
Yep.
Same for Bjorky and Christensen.
Don't really know what their future is other than maybe being depth guys.
Yeah, I don't know.
Blanks will be up at some point this season. Maybe you make room for him.
I just like these.
Trading one of Bean or Boakford, or maybe even both of them. I don't know. But I just, one thing I want to bring up with you that is a major concern that I saw someone else bring up. I understand, you understand, we all understand. There is a sizable gap between the level of play between the NHL and the AHL, correct?
Oh, absolutely. And the example that I come back to with that all the time is the funniest example in the world, Martin Marincin.
Yeah.
Because you watch Marty play with the Marlies, and he is flying out there. He's like one of the best on the ice ever, right? He literally recreates his goal against the Canucks every night in the AHL. But then he goes up to the Leafs, and look at where he is. Look at just how much better everybody else is.
So we acknowledge there's a gap, correct?
Yes.
Is it also fair to say that there is a larger gap between production for a lot of our players when they go to the minors versus when they come up? Because I'm looking at Cole Sillinger when he was in Cleveland, and he looked fantastic. I look at Kent Johnson, and he's producing at an incredible rate right now. Trey Fix-Wolansky is also lighting it up in the American Hockey League. Emil Bemstrom did it. We can list so many different guys who do it, and then they come up to Columbus, and it's not just that they don't produce, it's that they look bland. They lack creativity.
Can part of that be, deployment reasons, really?
I don't know if necessarily deployment's the factor, to be honest. I don't want to say that it's a non-factor. I just don't think I don't think it's as big of a contributing factor as just something stinks in Columbus, man.
Because, you got to remember, when we started this season, Silly was playing first line minutes. KJ was playing second line minutes, right? Yeah. Before KJ got sent down, he was all the way down on the third, and Silly's been playing fourth line more recently.
I don't get what we're gaining from doing this with Cole Sillinger.
I think him bottom 6 minutes. I don't get it either.
Yeah. Is that your plan for the guy? At some point, I think you need to balance. There needs to be a balance between this concept of Pascal Vincent saying you earn your ice time, you earn your minutes. Okay, great.
Yeah.
If he can't earn anything in the top 6, though, or even just the top 9, maybe you should let him get those minutes elsewhere.
Go cook up by 71.
They did it with Ken Johnson. Do it with Cole Sillinger too.
They did it with Cole last year.
They did it with Cole last year. I think those moments help your development more than just playing fourth line minutes in Columbus. Like,
I mean, think about what happened. Kirill played an entire quarter of the season in the A, and then when he finally got his call up here, he's stuck.
yeah, because
he works.
A good player, and that's what Cole did his first year. Did they plan on keeping him past training camp? I don't think they did, but he played so well they had no choice. But he's not playing that way right now.
Right.
You do have a choice. Send him to where he'll play and succeed.
That brings me to another comment in your tweet thread. Chronically Online. Just screen names are awesome.
Yeah.
I love these screen names. I'd rather have a message hit the players instead of the fans, to which you replied and said,
Yes.
Would it be fair to say a move at the top would also send a message to the players? New people up top equals change, which equals your job on this team is on the line. Which,
yeah,
that's a good counterpoint.
He brought up a great counterpoint. I can't disagree with it, because the point was, can you name a time really in any sports where you fire a GM and you get instant change on the field, the pitch, the ice, whatever? I can't, and part of the reason I can't is because more often than not, when you fire a GM, it's in the off season.
Right.
And when you do fire a GM mid-season, more often than not, your coach is being fired alongside.
Right.
So can I come up with an example? No. Is there a reason that there's not any examples that I could think of? Maybe. I can get behind that point. Like I said, I'm not 100% behind this idea of necessarily firing Jarmo right now. It's just, you can send a message. You have options here. It's driving me nuts that your options are kind of limited right now. And Jake, why on earth are your options limited right now? Because the guy you brought in to right the ship didn't even make it to fucking training camp.
Yeah.
And that is a big part of my issue right now.
We're gonna link that at the end of this episode. And we're not gonna revisit Babs entirely.
No, the point, we're not revisiting Babs so much as we're revisiting the fact that this guy that you are relying on to turn things around, the first move he had to make this offseason, find a new coach. And he didn't make it to training camp.
You had
despite the fact that everybody online had an issue with him and knew that this was a possibility.
You had the current guy that is right now, tonight, in the front seat of that bench.
Yeah.
You had him waiting in the wings for you.
And here's the crazy part about this. He might not be the guy. He might not. I'm not saying based off the start to the season, he's automatically a bad coach, Jake. I'm not.
No, and that, again,
I've brought up the question, is part of the reason this stinks so much is he not a good coach? Is he struggling with scrubbing off all the Brad Larson stench of this team?
Could be.
I don't know. The roster also isn't great.
You need to remember that despite how, obviously, we're playing worse. Somehow, they're worse off record-wise than they were at this point last year.
Oh, my God. You added Damon Severson. You added Ivan Provorov. You're getting better goaltending. Elvis is above a 900 right now.
Elvis is great this year.
Spencer Martin has played well. You're worse. Oh, my God.
Z's been healthy.
Z's been healthy. He hasn't been great.
Now, okay, this does bring up the last comment just in the thread here. I like Beer 16. What a name.
Yeah.
Cheers, I guess. No, but firing the coach does. And no. I'm just going to go right out and say, no, you're not doing that immediately after you just hired.
I agree with you. You're not doing that because you just brought this guy in. And why did you bring this guy in, Jake? Because the previous guy you brought in.
The guy you originally brought in is such a...
Okay. so, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like we weren't somewhat excited about the prospect of Pascal Vincent being the coach of the team. I'm not going to say if it doesn't pan out that it was a bad move, but it might have been the wrong move.
Yeah.
Fair. There were other coaches available besides Pascal Vincent, who actually wasn't even your head coach, besides Mike Babcock. There were other options on the market. And, you chose the route that you chose. You handcuffed yourself when Babcock didn't work out. And you're stuck now with Pascal Vincent, maybe for better, for worse. We'll find out as the season progresses. I think it's just, it's tough because the reason I bring up potentially firing Jarmo is I don't know what more moves you have. You sent Kent Johnson to the minors. You sent Emil Bemstrom to the minors. You had to fire Mike Babcock and bring in Pascal Vincent. You claim Spencer Martin. You go out. You trade for Damon Severson. You trade for Ivan Provorov. You've made so many moves to try and improve this situation.
Need I remind you that Robinson's also down there still as well? Like,
what else are you to do? What options does this team have right now? I think that's part of the issue I have and why I brought it up to begin with. The lack of options is precisely why I would heavily consider making that move. I'm not saying you do it, but it has to be a consideration.
You're definitely like, I feel like we're at that point, where you're this is such a stupid comparison, but it's something that you and I can both get behind.
Yeah.
When it's like late at night and you're hungry and you just keep opening the fridge and looking and being like, eh.
You keep looking and you're just like, surely something's going to pop out and like walk its way over to me.
Opening and closing and opening and closing the fridge.
Look, 5 times. I can't find anything to eat. Surely something's going to pop out to me, right? No,
you get it, right?
Or, and hear me out on this one. And who knows? Maybe the solution is buying a new fridge. I'm not saying it is, but maybe it is.
But maybe that's why everything stinks in there.
Yeah, or maybe it's buying more food, buying new food. I don't know.
You're buying better food.
Buying better food. I don't know. Your options, unfortunately, though, are kind of limited because you're looking at your wallet right now and there's not a ton of money in there.
Right, exactly.
And that's that's another part of the reason why I think that there's an argument against firing Jarmo, and that argument is that you are paying a lot of people right now to not do their jobs.
Let's get to the two biggest examples in just a second, because I want to bring up my my follow-up that I had like the day after, right?
Yes.
Because I went the morning of the Coyotes game, the morning after the Coyotes game, I watched Pazzy's post game. Which, by the way, you were totally right how brilliant his media avails are.
Yeah,
just the way he works things.
I think he's good in media availability. I do think that he is getting kind of backed into a corner, though, because there's only so much of we're improving in this area and this area, and we're getting close that before fans start to flip out because you're not getting results.
He does have a point when he says what I quoted, right? Which is, you answer the question by asking the question.
Yes.
So I ask you the question, how do you get your top guys going?
I'll tell you how you do it. Okay. And this is part of the issue right now that I currently have with Pascal Vincent. Okay. I haven't had a ton of issues with the guy. I'll tell you how you don't get them going. You don't play him on the second line with fucking Matthew Olivier.
Okay. Can we?
There you go.
I want to talk about the other thing, other stuff really quick. And let me just read the rest of this tweet. Pascal says many good things. And yes, he does. I could tell in certain moments when he's right, when he's got a point, and moments when I question it, right?
Yeah.
There's like, you can pick that apart. And the team does have bright spots. Look at the kid line right now.
That's the one thing that I will agree with you on, and we will be positive about that. The kid line's unbelievable. Dmitry Voronkov, Adam Fantilli, Kirill Marchenko.
They're
That
so
is the
electric,
line.
and I love it.
That is the line. Do not break that apart. That is working. 20 shots on goal that line had.
Adam had 10 on his own.
Oh my God. Adam's cooking. Dmitry Voronkov is so much better than I thought he was going to be. Kirill Marchenko is
the nice thing is, like, Dima is, we got shout outs from Grav about Dima.
Yeah. Dima's been really, really good. That's an effective player for the Blue Jackets moving forward. He looks, that line is instant chemistry. That is a line you cannot break up.
No,
not an option.
Don't much as wanting to see 13 and 29 play with 11 is a thing that eventually, sure.
Yeah, I mean, eventually you want to make sure that this guy is your number one center. But as of right now, if you're just trying to win games, you have to keep your best line together. And frankly, that's your best line.
Keep these kids together. There's so much fun. Not even close. There's so much fun.
I would also argue that there is maybe an advantage to just having that be your line. And you have to find someone else that Gaudreau can work with and get his line. But here's the other thing. And I know a lot of people are complaining about Johnny Gaudreau. I'll actually defend him for a second. As of right now, he is 6th in the NHL in high danger scoring chances created.
Yes.
Like he is finding teammates. He's getting the puck in great scoring areas. Guys aren't finishing them off. He needs to shoot the puck some more. He needs to create some chances for himself and score some freaking goals. I know that he's more of a playmaker, but one goal on an empty net isn't acceptable. But in terms of the assist department, he's not getting much help from guys not finding the back of the net when he gives them chances to. So it
doesn't help. Well, it also doesn't help when you have guys that have been playing well, hurt. And that lets me mention Rosie for a second.
Rosie has been shocking to me because I think a lot of people have gotten on Rosie the way that I have, and are talking about like, oh, you got to play your young guys and whatnot. And I don't think you can get behind Pascal Vincent's message of I'm going to play the players who are playing well, and then also say that they shouldn't be playing Jack Roslovic because you need to be playing the young guys.
Jack's been playing some of the best hockey of his career.
He was playing unbelievable to start this season and was one of our more effective players. That injury is actually really costing them right now.
It's brutal. 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Right?
Hopefully he can get back as soon as possible because it seems like in a contract year, he was starting to push things the way that he wanted to. So that's a tough loss. But I think that like all things, there needs to be a balance. And Pascal has at least made sure that he is spreading the love to everybody. He benched Laine, he benched Gaudreau. He has no problem with benching players. And I respect the accountability from him, but I also think at some point it's going to run its course.
It's going to run its course because, like, think about this for a second, right? So obviously we mentioned that there are bright spots, and I ended the tweet by saying translation into fixing mistakes and productive results to be determined.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we'll just have to see how these new, what else Pazzi can do in terms of just shuffling guys around. Hopefully he doesn't turn that into a Sheldon Keefe blender, mind you. But
yeah, it's tough because like I understand where people are coming from, and this is why I think this is such a tough job for this guy, and it's part of why I'm willing to give him, I don't want to say a little bit of a pass, but a little bit of breathing room. He's got a tough job. He has to try and establish, accountability, making sure that everybody's being held accountable, telling guys, if you play well, you will play. and making sure he's matching things up, trying new things out. But I also understand people saying, hey, how are these guys supposed to create any sort of chemistry if you keep shuffling the lines? It's one of the toughest things
Right.
you have to balance as a coach. And I think he's really struggling with that right now.
And here's 2 points in one, right?
Yeah.
The first one being what you mentioned earlier. Trying Patty at center again with Johnny.
I just
and you throw Matthew Olivier up there?
Oh man, like yeah, and you know what the funniest thing is we say this, watch them like actually go off today.
I was gonna say, yeah,
It'd be the
like watch them
funniest thing,
actually
like,
click again.
like it feels like something that like just weirdly might work, but
It's
like I just
still-
don't like it.
I just no. So like Gaudreau and
Like-
line eight, like that's
Mhm.
it's fun and it's cool. Like that, Patty still wants to try the center thing.
Yes.
and it's what like we're gonna see how that develops. Still, whatever.
Here's my issue. Can
But
I tell
you throw Matt up there? You throw 24 in there.
Okay, so I have an issue.
Okay.
Do you know what my bigger issue is? Is that it's specified as line 2. So my question to you, Jake, is if you're
Yes.
playing them with Matthew Olivier, you could really send a message by making that your third or fourth line. We're not playing you in the top 6. You're
right,
not
we're not
top
going to play
6
you
worthy
top
right
6
now.
minutes.
So here's my question. Is
And
this
that's-
a quote unquote demotion for Johnny and Patty, or is it a promotion?
Is it a promotion for Matthew?
Matt Olivier? And
That's
if it's the latter, what on fucking earth did he do to deserve it?
I don't know because what he's because who came out? It was Fixie, right?
Yeah. I wouldn't have
Which, by
minded
the
them
way,
trying to fix Wolanski with those two.
which, by the way,
He's
Fixie-
small. He's fast. He shoots the puck. I think he would fit.
Do you think he would fix it?
A1, my man. A1. I do. I'm not saying he's gonna fix the line. It's worth a try, isn't it? Don't you think?
I think it is. And that leads me to another point that I had, which let's just throw away the idea of third line Johnny for a minute, because even that just like felt weird to me from the get-go. Right?
Yeah. I'm
Playing
hearing you.
Johnny Gaudreau in your third line is very just like that just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Right?
It doesn't leave a bad taste in my mouth because the results aren't coming right now.
Well,
and he's-
no, and that I understand that much, but still, it's just like from a perspective of like this is supposed to be your star player,
Yeah.
and he's getting this treatment because he's just not being your star player. And the other thing, right? Trey getting the call up as Bemmer cleared waivers and got sent down.
Again. Strange how nobody wants him.
So, like, my point is Trey over KJ.
I have no problem with that. I think they like what they're seeing from KJ right now. Let
Mhm.
KJ continue to play a little bit more.
And I
fine
do
with
want to bring up, speaking of KJ, because we got, the artillery guys and the haters guys,
Yes.
right? And the haters guys, I don't know, because there are some sections
tell
of
you.
this. Listen, they're great guys.
Yeah.
Whoever runs this account is great. Is
Yes.
awesome.
Yes.
There's so many segments of this fan base where you can just like put them into 3 different groups, right?
Right.
Where you put them into all in, all the time, never backing down regardless, right?
Yeah.
Then there's a camp like us who loves them to death.
We're trying to toe that middle between being pissed off and wanting to hold everybody accountable and
We
and
love this
but
team and we
also-
want to critique it as well when we
while
know
also not
there's
being
issues.
too harsh.
Yes. And then there's the camp of why are you even here?
Okay.
if all you're going to do is criticize.
Okay.
Right? Yeah,
Okay.
you've seen plenty
Okay.
of those people.
I know. I'm not naming names.
No, I'm not naming names either,
I'm
but
not
like
naming
you've seen some of those people, believe me.
CBJ haters, I wouldn't put in that category.
No, I would probably put them more in our camp.
And yeah, for sure.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie. I read their tweet. I wasn't necessarily sure how to read it.
Let me
Like,
try.
was it a critique of us and that opinion? Was it? I don't know. It was.
I don't know if he's just calling out other people or like if he was,
Yeah.
So let me read it.
Yeah.
People after Kent Johnson got demoted. The team's job isn't to cater to what the fans want.
Right.
Which that's fair.
I agree with that.
It's doing what's best for the team on the ice, putting the best product out there in order to win games.
Yes. Fair.
Because that's the end goal of a sports team is to win games.
To win. Yes. Fair. No problem with that take.
People now. The team needs to send a message to the fans that they care.
Yes. Both are true. And the reason I guess the way that I will respond to that is that the decision to send Kent Johnson to Cleveland is a management decision. That's right. Jarmo, that's JD. The decision to fire Jarmo is an ownership decision.
That's on the McConnells.
These are two levels of decisions. So I think that may be where a disconnect is. And again, I just said it. I'm not saying you need to fire Jarmo right now.
Right.
I'm just saying I don't think it should be off the table. And if this continues, and I don't have a set date or number in my mind, it's just you have a feeling when it's time.
Didn't you use a stove analogy with previous work like this, situations like this, where you're
I use a lot of analogies?
Well, like we're kind of just looking at the stove right now. We're not really thinking too
we're
much
looking
about
at the stove where we haven't necessarily turned the dial to put the seat. That was a while ago. I don't remember how long ago it is. I'll say this.
Like that just shows you how good my memory is, right?
We're currently in the process of lighting the flame. Not sure how hot we're making the seat yet, but all I know is right now you're hearing that, and it's the fire's starting to go. We've got flame.
I don't know. I'm still in the camp where I'm still just kind of looking at it and debating, like maybe. I'm not quite there turning the dial.
Fair. I don't blame you for that. I think for me, I'm viewing it from a point of view of I'm not sure what more options we have. And if I'm the owner of the Blue Jackets, I'm pissed off about last season and how bad it was. I'm pissed off about how bad the head coaching decision was last time. And I'm not even talking about Babcock. I'm talking about Brad Larson.
Yep.
I'm pissed off at the whole Mike Babcock situation. I'm pissed off that we spent a whole lot of money and used draft capital to get Ivan Provorov and Damon Severson to try and make this team better. And I'm pissed off that despite having Zach Werenski back, the two players I just mentioned, Elvis and Spencer Martin, have actually played pretty well. I'm pissed off that the results are worse. And I'm looking at this GM that I probably have a little bit of a trust issue with right now, especially after the offseason and the whole Babcock situation.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, what is the difference between firing you now and firing you in the offseason? Because in my opinion, I understand why it is beneficial to make that move in the offseason. But if he is not your guy,
right,
it does not behoove you to let him stick around and continue to make personnel decisions from now until June. It doesn't.
The upcoming schedule, just to brush through it for this next week. Tonight in Washington, which we're currently on a power play.
I'm sure this will result in a kill.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that in a second when we talk about my Pittsburgh experience. Then Sunday, tomorrow, or today when this is up, at Philly. Wednesday is home against Bedard and Fliggy and
Oh,
friends.
yeah. Yeah.
Which, good on Nick for having an awesome season, right?
He's playing well, man. Good for him.
He's playing well. Friday is in Jersey, and they're getting Jack back. So, oh boy.
Oh, that's the last thing I need.
And then Sunday is in Carolina, and then we come back home on Monday to play Boston.
Wow. So outside of our game against Chicago,
A bit of a death row.
The schedule's not even easy.
A bit of a death row there.
Wow.
Okay, Bill Stein. Feel like you're about to sell me some Clear Eyes right now. Hey, how often do you how early do you decorate for the holidays?
Funny enough, as you ask, we literally did that today, actually. Yeah. So we usually like to do it like right before Thanksgiving, like maybe like a week or so before.
Okay. It's funny because like our tradition is we like to get our tree the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
That's our Black Friday tradition.
Yeah.
Is to get the tree early.
Mm-hmm.
So for some people, it's probably still too early to start decorating.
It's never
But
too early to start shopping, though.
never too early to start shopping. Beat the crowds, like especially on Black Friday when the clouds, oh my gosh, for words are hard, especially around the holidays. Maybe someone could give me a little bit of
I'll get you a dictionary
some
for
speech
your
therapy.
Yeah.
For Christmas. Why not take care of it now before the crowds and packed calendars make shopping nightmarish? Just the worst to deal with, especially when you can get it done before Black Friday, like with Raycon's pre-Black Friday, early Black Friday sale going on right now. You've heard us talk about Raycon in the past around the holidays before, or ringing in the new year, or just chilling over the summer. And you know how all of this is.
Yeah.
Just go to the website for more information. Raycon first made a name for themselves in the audio space with the E25s and the amazing, cheap, but brilliant earbuds that they always are known for. 32-hour battery life with those puppies, high quality, thoughtful features, perfect ear fit, the custom gel tips, all everything that you all know and love. And this past year, they expanded.
Mm.
They
Tell me about it.
expanded the entire business model with Raycon Home and Raycon Power Tech. So they got some more stuff going on than just your regular everyday earbuds. The Magic 180 cable allows you to charge iOS, micro USB, and Type C devices 8 times faster. And the faucet filter, ultra filter in your water clears out heavy metal, chlorine, all that really nasty stuff in your tap. Must have for ensuring your water to use to wash your face, brush your teeth. You're actually getting clean water, right?
Yeah.
High quality, thoughtful features at half the price of other premium brands. No wonder everything has racked up thousands and thousands and thousands of 5-star reviews. You hear about these guys everywhere. Raycon just works. To get everyone in on the holiday shopping spirit a bit early, Raycon's currently offering 20% off everything on their site with select products up to 50% off. So beat the crowds, save now. Trust me, you don't want to miss out because Raycon's got you covered. Hurry now to buyraycon.com/THPN to get 20 to 50% off site-wide. That's buyraycon.com/THPN to score up to 50% off Raycon products. buyraycon.com/THPN.
I hope I'm not being too obnoxious, I guess.
No, because you're just being Jay.
Sometimes Jay's obnoxious. I don't
Buddy,
know.
I've been dealing with this for the past 2 years, and if I would have
I think I'm speaking more so to people who are listening.
to people watching, yeah.
Yeah, like I don't want to. Like I said, I'm not gonna piss on anybody's toes and tell them it's raining, but I also don't want to take a shit in your lawn every morning and. I don't even know where I'm just going, to be honest with you. But like, I don't know. I don't like. I know sometimes coming and listening to a podcast where it's all negative can be a little frustrating. Sometimes maybe a little bit cathartic to have people just agreeing with you and also be frustrated. And maybe it's just trauma bonding, I suppose. But I say it out of a place. I just want it to be better.
It's out of love. It's out of love.
I don't want to come on this podcast and talk about shit being bad. I want to come on. You know what I want to do? I want to come on these podcasts and have as much fun as Jordan and
Taylor do.
Taylor do. Like, could you imagine like going on and covering the Dallas Stars and how much fun that would be right now? Like,
especially with how they,
Could you imagine, like, I know it's been a little bit of a tough start to the season as far as injuries are concerned, but could you imagine just being Neil or Alex and Alex just had freaking Eddie Olczyk?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Good for them. Could you imagine covering the Devils and how fun that would be?
Can you imagine being Zach and Kat? And oh my gosh, I forget the other one's name, because there's 3 of them. I'm sorry, guys. But imagine being the Surge Cast guys who just had their 100th episode with Jordan Martinook.
Yeah.
They had fucking Marty.
Yeah.
The guy that literally in the playoffs is always screaming, "Oh!"
Yeah. I just
They had that guy on their show.
That'd be awesome. It'd be fun.
Which, by the way,
I can't imagine how much fun they're having.
I do want to, this is just to air that out there for anyone that wants to send me an email or anything like that. This is 126, and I really want to try to do something special for 150. So just getting that out there nice and early.
Yeah, smart to get it out there nice and early for sure. I don't know. Like, I want it to be better. I want to be able to enjoy this, Let me tell you right now, I root for the Bears. I root for the Guardians. I root for Crystal Palace. It's not fun right now. Okay. I'm tired of losing. I want to win.
I root for the Bengals, who just lost Joe Burrow for the rest of the year. It's brutal. And I root for the Reds, who's probably losing Joey Votto to either another team or retirement.
Seems like he'll be retirement more than
probably
anything.
retirement.
I just hope that he'll maybe like take some like coaching or scouting gig with them and stick around.
And we're also losing one of my favorite players who never really panned out with us, but I'm gonna miss little Senzi.
Nah.
Nick Senzel, I loved him ever since he was a Dragon. Like, oh my God, this kid was so electric. And
I thought he was gonna be really good after his rookie year. But yeah, no, it's tough. It's tough. I don't want the Blue Jackets to be in that camp. I want them to be good. There is not really any team I care more about being good than this one. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, because they've been mediocre at best for 20 years.
Yeah, like God, like let me tell you, I remember how awesome it was experiencing the 2016 NBA championship for the Cavs. It was one of the best days of my life. It will come nowhere close to what a Blue Jacket Stanley Cup would be.
Not even the Calder Cup with the Monsters. Like that's got to have been fun. That had to have been super fun.
Oh, it's so much fun. those obviously don't come anywhere close to what a Stanley Cup would be for the Blue Jackets. And the funny thing, Jake, is I'm not even asking for a Stanley Cup. I'm asking for this team to get back to the freaking playoffs and have some
Right.
competence and, be a young, fun team that's showing improvement and not hiring Mike Babcock. I mean, my God, man, I'm just.
Do we want to actually address Johnny and Patty really quick? Because it's like they're just.
Yeah.
These guys are making 9.75, right?
And 8.75, right?
And 8.7-ish.
Yeah.
Johnny has 1 goal and 6 assists.
Yeah.
In 16 games.
Yeah.
Patty does have the excuse of being hurt.
Yeah.
But 3 points still doesn't really scream Patrick Laine now, does it?
No. And you could tell. Look, these guys care. I could tell these guys care. You saw Patrick Laine breaking a stick into a million pieces the other night. Mm-hmm. But we care. They care. Great. But caring isn't enough. We need results.
Yes. And I mean, like they're chugging out there. They're absolutely trying their asses off.
And that might be part of the issue. Sometimes, when you have a drought, it's so hard to get out of it. You grip your stick a little bit tighter. Mm-hmm. You try to force things maybe a little bit. You're overthinking things. So, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a genius here. I think you know that. I don't have a direct answer on how you fix it. But I'm just saying, I sure as hell don't think that fixing it is going to include Matthew Olivier. That's all.
Right.
With all due respect to Matthew Olivier, I don't have any issues with him, but we talk all the time about deployment and how you utilize these guys. Mm-hmm. I have never, ever, ever, ever thought.
When has 2-star players and an enforcer ever worked?
You play on your second line on the right wing with anybody, let alone Patrick Laine and Johnny Gaudreau.
Well, remember that, let's use the Caps as an example of this, right? The difference between Matthew Olivier and a guy like Tom Wilson playing with Nick Backstrom and Alex Ovechkin is Tom Wilson has he has skill of his own.
Your arsenal to his game.
He has skill of his own.
Tom Wilson was a high draft pick.
Yeah.
What is he, 16th overall?
I can't remember.
A good player from day one.
Yes.
And it took him a little bit of time to adapt to the NHL before he became what we know him as today. But Tom Wilson was not drafted as high as he was just because he could hit. It's because he had skill to his game. He had a skill set to his game that the Capitals truly believed he could develop and adjust and adapt to the NHL one day. And it took some time, but he did. And that's why he is the player that he is.
And what better way to learn than from 2 all-time greats that played their whole career together?
Yeah, exactly. And one guy who, I don't want to say plays a similar style, but isn't afraid to hit guys and run through guys in Alex Ovechkin,
And Backy bringing so much style and skill to add to what Tom can do.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that I worry we might not ever see Nick Backstrom again. Right. Unfortunately, but yeah, for such.
Kuzi's got a similar game to that. Probably not
nearly
on the same level as
Backstrom was for sure. Yeah. No, he's got some skill set, but I'm just curious what their plan is with him because that's a guy who seems like he's wanted out for a while.
Oh, with Kuzi? Yeah, I have no idea.
I don't know what to expect, but I think that this should, because I gotta get going.
So
we wanted to make this more of a Blue Jacket centered show. I know that there's other topics we could have talked about that I'm sure we'll get to eventually, but I
do want to mention
I couldn't go without recording this episode. We just couldn't.
Game day was super fun.
Tell me about it. How was it?
I got to go with my cousins, the oldest of the 3 boys and the youngest of the 3 boys, and Cody's girlfriend. Mm-hmm. They go to Columbus nearly all they lived there for 6 months, so getting there wasn't an issue. Getting out wasn't an issue. It was great. First period was really fun. Second period was really fun. Like, I mean, the whole game was fun. Don't get me wrong. The whole game in person was super fun. Always is. Even though Sidney Crosby is a Blue Jackets killer, Jake Gensel is a Blue Jackets killer.
The whole team are Blue Jackets killers.
It was ridiculous. But a Sid hat trick in person, like, how often do you see that?
Yeah, I've never seen it, but hat tricks are not uncommon for Penguins against the Blue Jackets.
It's
I've
still
seen a
like
couple.
it was crazy. It was
I saw
awesome.
Kenny Malkin have one against the Blue Jackets in the playoffs in Game 6, so that was unfortunate.
But still probably pretty electric, right?
I wouldn't define it as electric as far as I was feeling that night, but yeah.
we were sitting by this guy who was wearing a Yager jersey, and he was actually pretty sweet. He was a pretty
Yager jersey. Hell yeah, that's pretty dope.
He had a Penn's Yager jersey, and it was pretty. He was a nice guy. Got to plug the show. He actually was doing the whole like he was this guy whenever they were scoring. Uh-oh. Oh, you froze for a second.
Oh no, I'm here.
But yeah, he was cool. The bean block in person was phenomenal. That's why he got the Kepi.
Yeah.
Was just brilliant. Z looked fine. Provy looked great. Johnny had some really good looks on the power play despite like everybody like no power play goals at all.
Mm-hmm.
There was, I will say, like obviously the kid line was electric, and I loved Marching Skull in person. Have you seen the overhead of that? Where it looks straight out of the Chell games?
No, I've not. You'll have to send it to me.
It looks so good, and Jari's actually doing like the default, like, fuck.
Yeah.
It's so good. Marchie's goal was great. And that there was one power play in the third where there was a lot of pressure. Johnny was in the circle, dishing around, and the Penguins almost cleared it out. And I can't remember whether it was Provorov or Severson. It was one of those two guys. The skill that it took to keep that puck in the blue line and keep that power play sequence going until Tristan froze it was probably one of the wildest sequences I've ever seen live.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was such like that should have yielded a goal. Yeah. That whole sequence should have yielded a goal, but it didn't. Because the power play is doo-doo. Anyway, and then I also got to see a lot of our friends. Shout outs. Obviously, I gave the shout outs on Twitter. I'm going to give them here. Boomer. Lil Boomer, always good to see you, buddy.
Yeah.
Ellie, I haven't seen you in ages, and I missed you. You know this.
Yeah.
Pfeffer, oh my God. Matt Pfeffer, love you, missed you. I only got to say hi before he had to jet because he met up with like 9 other people, and then he had other things to do because he's a guy. Pfeffer.
He's a popular guy.
And the Mike Todd.
Oh, you did? You did see him?
I did get to see Mike, and give he was like bringing in, gave him a hug. That was kind of nice.
That's great. Love it.
The only thing that I didn't like about the whole game, and this should tell you what it's like to be at a Blue Jackets game in terms of atmosphere.
Yeah.
Concession prices.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because I had bought I bought a tall draft and a popcorn for everybody to share. That was $22.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And then you know how you can get the 24-ounce cans of beers?
Yeah.
Literally, I could get them from Circle K over here for like $3.
Yeah, those are probably a good like $15, $16.
$17 for a Modelo that was literally around the corner from our section.
That's tough.
It was crazy, but I loved it. I wore the Johnny jersey. If you look, my Twitter profile and all that stuff, my Instagram, all of that, there's a picture from before we left.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell because of dog butt photobomb.
Yeah.
Poor Snickers just wanted to get in there.
Yeah.
Everything except for Caden's the younger cousin. Everything except for Caden's shirt was mine.
Nice.
I had 2 days before they were like, "Hey, do you have a jersey Cody can wear? Do you have a sweater that Jenna can wear?" And I was like, "Do I?"
Yeah. Yeah.
So I hooked up
Love it.
everybody.
Love it.
Go check it out. I had a lot of fun. And then the last thing that I did want to touch on is we're actually getting talks about an outdoor game in Columbus.
Yeah, I assumed that this would happen the second that Gene Smith was going to leave Ohio State, because I think this is his last year at Ohio State. So no surprise that the second that he leaves, suddenly Ohio State's going to have the funds to be able to fix the piping issues to get.
Who would have thought?
Unbelievable! I can't even believe it. No, it could. I'm hoping for the best. Could be news that this fan base needs to, be able to breathe and celebrate something. I hope that is the case, but I don't know. I'm not holding my breath on it either because I know how this works.
Well, speaking of Winter Classic stuff, just because this is related, the jerseys for Seattle and Vegas leaked.
Vegas's jerseys are ass.
They're garbage.
They're terrible.
They literally look like they took them straight out of the custom section of a mobile game.
Vegas does a lot of things right, and I think they've gotten a lot of jerseys right. They just whipped on this one. It happens. They whiffed. It happens.
Seattle's is a brilliant nod to the Metros.
It is. I did laugh that the Utah Jazz leaked them last night.
I liked the AEW leak of them too.
Yeah.
The AEW one was kind of funny. Because I was just staring at the Vegas jersey going, what is that?
Yeah.
Why does that look like...
It looks AI generated.
It absolutely... You know what? That wouldn't surprise me. That actually wouldn't surprise me in 2023.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Outdoor game in Columbus, right?
More than likely against the Red Wings for the Ohio State, Michigan.
Has to kind of... If you're going to go that route...
If you're going to go that route, you're going to bring in an original 6 team that has a lot of popularity in the Detroit Red Wings. You're going to make it an Ohio versus Michigan themed story because it is Ohio State, at the shoe. So that makes sense to me. I have no problem with that. I just don't want them to go in the direction of Ohio State, Michigan themed jerseys. I think that would be
right.
Really
that would be too cheesy.
Yeah.
That would be a little too much.
Also, you think that a lot of the players who the Blue Jackets have who played at Michigan would be like, man, why do I have to wear an Ohio State?
Why do I have to? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
I think it's definitely like this is just like the first chip. This is the first layer of the iceberg.
Yeah.
To where that can go for us because we are one of only a handful of teams that hasn't had either outdoor game yet.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's going to be more of a stadium series kind of game.
It would be nicer for the Jackets, which are a fresher franchise, to get a stadium series game.
To me, it doesn't need to be a Winter Classic. It just needs to be an outdoor game. So stadium series is fine by me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be picky in that regard, but I think it could be a really good thing for us if it happens. I'm hoping that it happens. So we'll follow it and see what updates we get. Sounds like it's at least starting off in the right direction. But it could be the good news that we need desperately.
We hope you enjoyed these rants because we just needed a rant for a while.
Yeah.
Because we're having a tough time in the fandom in general. Like we're having fun, but we're having fun, but we need some wins.
We're having fun, but we need more fun.
Yeah, winning is way more fun, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. Winning's fun. It's always been fun. It'll always be fun. Let's have some more fun here.
Let's string some dubs together, eh?
Yeah.
We'll see y'all for the next one. Gosh, I don't even know because what's coming up, like the holiday break and all of that stuff shouldn't be too far behind.
Yeah.
Right. We're gonna keep tabs on numbers and try to, work the phones. We're going to try to do more watch-alongs on the THPN YouTube. We're going to try to get more fam onto our show. We're going to go onto their shows. We're going to try to keep that going, and get the nucleus running, right?
Yeah.
So stay tuned, everybody, and go sign up for DraftKings. Go get you some Raycons for the Christmas season. Let's go do our thing, and let's go fire off a cannon.
Jake Jackets, a podcast for fifth liners and all puckheads around. Follow the guys on Twitter at Snake Gehringer, GARRINGER, and at by J Ashdown. And subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen. March on.